David and Goliath, the shepherd boy who defeated a giant. David was a young shepherd boy who loved God. He cared for his father's sheep on the hills of Bethlehem. With his harp, he sang songs of praise under the bright sky. Though small and young, David trusted God with all his heart. He never felt alone because he knew God was always with him. Far away, the Israelites were at war with the Philistines. The Philistines had a giant warrior named Goliath. He was taller than anyone else, wore heavy armor, and carried a giant spear. Every day, Goliath shouted at Israel's army, daring someone to fight him. But the soldiers were afraid and hid in fear. One day, David's father sent him to bring food to his brothers in the army camp. David arrived and heard Goliath shouting. He saw the soldiers trembling in fear. David's heart burned with courage. "Who is this giant to mock the living God?" David asked. He believed God could defeat Goliath. King Saul heard David's bold words and called him. David said, "I will fight this giant." Saul looked surprised. "But you are only a boy," he said. David smiled. "God saved me from lions and bears when I cared for the sheep. He will save me from this giant too." Saul gave David his own armor to wear. The helmet was too heavy, the breastplate too big, and the sword too long. David could hardly walk. He shook his head and took it all off. "I cannot fight like this," David said. Instead, he chose his sling and trusted God's strength. David walked to a nearby stream. He bent down and carefully picked 5 smooth stones. He placed them in his small pouch. With his sling in hand, David stepped forward bravely toward the battlefield. Though young, he felt strong because he trusted in God's mighty power, not in weapons. When Goliath saw David coming, he laughed loudly. "You send a boy to fight me? I will crush him," he roared. David stood tall and replied, "You come with a sword and spear, but I come in the name of the Lord Almighty. Today, God will give me victory." David ran toward Goliath. He quickly took out a stone and placed it in his sling. Around and around he swung it, faster and faster. The stone flew through the air with great speed. Everyone held their breath, waiting to see what would happen next. The stone struck Goliath right on his forehead. The giant's smile disappeared. His eyes grew wide, and with a loud crash, he fell face down on the ground. The Philistine army gasped in shock. The Israelites cheered with joy. The giant was defeated by the power of God through a shepherd boy. When the Philistines saw their champion had fallen, they ran away in fear. The Israelites chased them with shouts of victory. The people celebrated David's bravery, but David knew it was not his strength. It was God who had won the battle for Israel and saved his people from their enemies. David became known as the boy who defeated a giant. But David didn't boast. He gave all the glory to God. "The Lord is my strength," David said. His courage showed everyone that even the smallest person can do big things when they trust God with all their heart. David's story reminds us that God is bigger than any problem we face. We may not fight giants with swords, but we can trust God to help us with school, fears, or worries. Like David, we can be brave, knowing God is always by our side. With him, we are never alone.